Hi everyone, welcome to House of Knitting. I'm your host Kristen. You can find me on Ravelry and Twitter as Mama Holmes and on Instagram as Mama Holmes NC. Thank you so much for coming to check out the podcast. Welcome to new viewers and returning viewers. I'm so glad that you're back. This is episode 11. Today is Friday, May 13th. And 2016, and I'm officially 8 days from my due date. So for those of you that are just tuning in, I am 39 weeks pregnant, due with a second baby boy next Saturday, the 21st of May. So we already have one, a 4-year-old. His name is Xander. And once this baby's born, then we will be sharing his name. So we're just keeping something quiet, right? I'm coming to you from my in-progress den/office crafting area. So it's kind of a mess. I promise you the rest of my house is clean. I nested like crazy yesterday. I cleaned the house top to bottom, vacuumed, mopped floors, cleaned the bathroom, cleaned the kitchen. Like, I am full nesting and ready for this baby to come, but we just need we need some more furniture. We need some bookshelves. And so there's books all along the back here. There's boxes of books downstairs in the basement, and the rest of the house is a mess. Or this area is a mess. So I'm sitting at a desk that needs to be refinished. I'm sitting in a Habitat Restore chair that needs to be painted. So we're just still kind of getting settled, and moving when you're pregnant sucks, and it takes you a while to get settled. It takes you a while to get settled anyway when you do a big move, but we moved cross country. We moved from North Carolina to Wisconsin, but it's just, it is what it is. So yeah, welcome to the podcast. There are a couple of events coming up, and I didn't show this the first podcast, but just reminded me. If you're in the Milwaukee area, which I'm coming to you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, there are a couple of events coming up that I think that you would love to know about. The first is a yarn crawl in the Milwaukee area. It's several different yarn stores. I've only been to one of them, and that's Cream City Yarn. That's my preferred LYS because it's seems to be the most stocked, and it's a very nice setting. So it's about 20 minutes for me. But there are other little yarn stores that are in this crawl. So if you're in or near the Milwaukee area, I believe it's July 10th, but I'm going to put the details along the bottom right here so that you can see, and I'll also post kind of an events thread in the Ravelry group. I know Java Jenny, she lives not too far from me. We're trying to get together at some point during the crawl, maybe have lunch, maybe do some of the crawl together. So if you're local or you're coming in for the crawl, like, we would love to hang out with you. I would love to meet you. So just let me know. And then of course the Milwaukee, there's a couple of things going on kind of later on in the summer. The Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival, Stitches Midwest. I'll put all of those at the bottom of the screen because I don't remember the dates off the top of my head, but all of those events are coming up, and I'm planning on being at all of those events. So I'm planning on being at the Milwaukee Yarn Crawl. I'm planning on being at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool for sure. I'm planning on being at Stitches Midwest as well in September. So August, it might be August. I think my parents are actually in town. They're actually going to be in Chicago the weekend that Stitches Midwest is happening, so for a family reunion. So hopefully I'll be able to do at least one day at Stitches Midwest. It's so close to me that I want to be able to go. So yeah, I do want to go ahead and apologize up front. I am, like I said, 39 weeks pregnant, and I quickly lose my train of thought, and I quickly get thirsty, and so I have a very noisy water bottle right here. So if at some point I have a contraction, I am having contractions on and off, but at some point I have a contraction, or I'm going to do my best to kind of cut that out for you. So I didn't have it so much the first time I podcasted, but I've been sitting here for a little bit, so we'll see what happens. Today I'm going to talk to you just about a few things. Let me run through them real quick. Let me find my show notes. I'm going to talk about a finished object. I'm going to talk about what I've been knitting on that's in my basket. I'm going to talk about some planning, and I'm also going to talk about some mailbox love. I'm also going to briefly address the recording schedule at the end of the podcast for those of you who kind of watch me as regular as I podcast. That way you're not worried and you know kind of what's up. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to share with you is what I finished. I will say that I did not have this cast on when we last spoke. So that's good news, right? I cast on and knit my first pair of monkey socks. And they are out of the Flying Kettle. I cannot find my sock blockers. I apologize. They're somewhere lost in the move. I'll find them at some point. They might actually be right here. Are they right here? Nope. I don't know where they are. So anyway, yeah. It's darker when I first started podcasting, and I apologize for the backlight, but I am having to do this kind of easy because the setup for the podcast is difficult when you're 39 weeks pregnant. So I used the Flying Kettle, her glider base. I ordered this a couple years ago in the Cassiopeia colorway. And I was inspired by Sue from the Legacy Knits podcast. She was gushing about monkey socks. And then I also saw Susan B. Anderson's socks that she knit out of Gail's art in Graffiti and Asphalt, which I have in my stash. So I think that's what that yarn is going to be, is another pair of monkey socks. There is a cowl going on. A new podcast that's new to me that I just started watching is Pen, Feathers, and Pearls. And she, along with Laura from the Fawn Knits podcast, are doing a cookie jar cowl, which is any cookie A sock. So I think you have until like June 30th to cast on and finish. And let me tell you, the first sock I knit in 3 days. So the lace pattern is fairly easy. Oh my gosh, look how pretty that is. It's really easy to, that makes me want to fix my lighting, but it's all right. Fairly easy to, the lace pattern is fairly easy to understand. It is charted, but it's a good chart. I used the free version on Knitty and just did modifications to fit my size 9 foot. There it goes. I knit 1.5 inch cuff. I knit 7 repeats on the leg and then 6 repeats on the foot. So that was my pattern for a size 9 woman's foot. I have not blocked it yet. It is fairly tight. Not fairly tight, but it's tighter than what I knit. I love this twisted rib, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to start doing that on my socks. I love it. I hate knitting it, but I love the way that it works. And I've heard that this blocks out really good because of the lace. So that's what we're going to be doing. Going to cast on another pair for sure. I used my US size 1 Knitter's Pride DPNs carbons. I love my DPNs. I do not like the carbons in bigger sizes. So I usually knit my socks either on the Knitter's Pride DPNs or Addi Turbo Sock Rockets. So it's good. Please join the Pen Feathers and Pearls and Fawn Knits cookie jar cowl, because apparently there are some great prizes. They haven't shown them yet, but it's just fun. And there are so many cookie A patterns, and that pattern was so easy to memorize. You can do a free pattern. You can do, if you've done monkeys before and you love them, then use the monkeys again. So yeah, it's really great. A really great pattern. Yeah, I love it. First time knitting a lace pattern on a sock, and it was fun. And it was really easy. Like, I knit the first sock in 3 days, and by the time I got to like halfway through the leg of the first sock, I had already memorized the pattern. So it's good. It's very good. Yes. Excited about this blanket. And I've talked about this, but I decided I was knitting one version and it was way too small. The squares were way too small. It was annoying. And I decided that I was going to use Kemper Ray's Raybot, also the genius behind the Junk Yarn podcast and the Junk Yarn dye, like the company, the Etsy store or whatever. She's a dyer. She's the dyer behind the Junk Yarn. Okay. She released a Cozy Memories recipe, and I've linked it in the show notes, of 46 stitches, and it's perfect for my blanket. And I cannot put this down. I think I showed this to you last time. I had knit 4 or 5. I had knit 4 or 5 squares and knit this row, everything but the gold, and then this top row in the last couple of days. So I'm using size 3 wooden needles. These are just clovers that you buy at AC Moore or Michaels. They're not too sharp, but they're good. And yeah, it's a great pattern. All of my minis are in my J&B Smiley bag. And there are several. This is what's left over from my Flying Kettle socks. It's so dark. It's hard for you to see it. There's so many colors, and that's not even doing it justice. There are so many colors in this skein. I love it. But these are all my minis. Ta-da! You can't see that either because it's so dark now. Yeah. So I've got minis that I've contributed. I've got minis that two friends sent me. I've got some other minis that we'll talk about in a minute to put in there. So yeah, it's just a great knit. It's actually going to go in my hospital bag to go with me to the hospital because it's great for like putting it down and picking it up. It's super easy because it's just every right side is a decrease or 2 decreases, and it's super addicting. And once again, I was enabled by the Legacy podcast, Legacy Knits podcast. So Sue has a lot of her blanket done, and then Chelsea just recently picked hers back up and she can't put it back down. So it's just great. It's so great. I've been reading Harry Potter. I've never read the books. So I'm on the Half-Blood Prince. So I went to the library and I'm starting over with the movies. I've seen up until, I think I saw the Half-Blood Prince, but I wasn't paying attention. I must have fallen asleep or something. I rented it, and I wasn't really into Harry Potter, but now that I'm reading the books, not listening to the books, reading the books, I've gone back and started watching the movies. So I went to the library and got The Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, and that's what I've been doing. I've been knitting on this little sucker and watching the movies. So yeah, it's nice. I think, yeah, I've got a lot of minis in here, and I'm doing my first kind of formal swap with the Grocery Girls and the Legacy Knits podcast, and got my partner today. And I just need to add some tea and some finishing, really small details, sweet details that you see in those packages, and get that in the mail to her before the baby comes. So I'm going to get that out as soon as I can. I'm going to run out tomorrow and take care of what I need to take care of as far as her package is concerned, and then mail it on Monday or Tuesday. I think this baby is coming Tuesday, May 17th. I don't know why I think that. I just woke up on Mother's Day and was like, this baby's coming on the 17th. And I actually said that Xander was coming August 31st and he was born on August 31st. I said it the whole time I was pregnant. So I'm hoping that I'm right because I'm ready to have a baby. So I want to get her package out in the mail before the baby gets here because it's going to be crazy once he comes. And just so sweet, right? And I can remember the yarns that I've used so far. So This one is Shibui Knits. It's the first sock yarn I ever bought. This one is Fable Fibers. And it was a sock head. I wear this sock head all the time. This one was a monthly colorway from Desert Vista Dye Works. This one is Knit Picks. This one is Spin Monkeys. This one, whoop, here, no, I'm going the wrong way. This one here is another Knit Picks. Stroll hand painted, I think that's what that was. This one too. This is Miss Babs from my Color Affection. I'm sorry it's so dark, y'all. This one is Knit Picks Felici. I just love the way this one knit up. I think it's so fun. And there's actually, it's the Jelly Bean colorway. And there's actually, like, it's getting ready to transition into pinks. So I'll be able to do another square where the pinks start. This one's Knit Picks Felici 2 in the minty colorway. This one is Unwind Yarn Company. This was a sock head for my sister. And this one's also Unwind Yarn Company. It was a pair of socks. So isn't it funny how you remember, you know? I can't wait to start adding some that aren't mine. So I think that's what I'm going to start doing. Is I have some that my friends Anne and Janice sent me, Carolina Fiber Girls. I think this one's going to go, I'm like pointing it the wrong way. On next, let me move my screen. I think that's why, because I'm recording. I have this fun one. I have this one that's mine. That was the baby's newborn vertebrae. It's Spin Monkeys. So I'm just having so much fun, like picking them out. What I'm doing, I do have some Cakewalk. I have a couple of pairs of, I have one pair of Cakewalk socks. And I included these in my swap. You can't see that. Oh. It's a gray. It's chalkboard is the colorway. It's like a gray with like like neon green, neon blue, like chalk. It's really pretty. Neon pink. There's some purple in there. So awesome. But yeah. You want to do a swap? Let me know. I think it would be fun. I don't know if I'll do like a podcast swap, but I'm setting aside, what I'm doing is I'm taking, like when I have leftovers like this from socks or shawls, I'm taking 10 grams, which is enough to make probably 2 squares on my blanket. And then I'm just putting the rest of it in a bag for swaps, future swaps. So I do have some stuff left over. I'm getting to the end of my sock yarn stash haul because I've been knitting so much from stash. So I've been eyeing sock yarns and I have a running list of sock yarns I want to try. But if you have any suggestions for like indie dyers and their minis, like I have Spun Right Round on my list. I want a Skein of her yarn so bad. A sock yarn and her minis. I have Yarn Ink on my list, which Yarn Ink is a Canadian dyer, but the exchange rate is so good right now between the US and Canada that you can get a mini for like $8. Who else? I have O Loops on my list because they do really great minis. I haven't listed any minis recently because they're doing a whole bunch of shawl kits right now. But so yeah, if you have any like minis that you love, like if you want to share them with me, or we can do a swap, or if you want to just let me know who the dyer is, and that way I can add them to my list. I think that would be awesome. So yeah, sock yarn blanket for the win. Cozy memories. The coziest memory is what the recipe is called, and it's linked in the show notes. I did show notes this week for you. I figured I'd go out with a bang before maternity leave. Let's see, what else is on my list? Ooh, one more thing. I was enabled. I think I'm a follower I think I am. I don't think I'm like I'm very driven. I'm very type A, but I don't think I'm like an enabler. And I did enable somebody to buy some Miss Babs though, Jess. Jess is actually a childhood friend of mine. And I was on Instagram last night, and she was holding a cake of Yowza, and I was like, oh, "That's my favorite. It's one of my favorite yarns. I love Miss Babs Yowza." And she was like, "I know. I totally saw it on your podcast, and I could not believe." She's a childhood friend. Like, I could not believe that she watched my podcast. It's so funny. Isn't that funny? Like, complete strangers, sure. But, like, I'm so thankful for viewers. But when people that you've known forever say, "Oh, I watched your podcast," I'm like, it's like your real world and your knitting world, like, collide. And it's such a weird feeling, right? Anyway, but, I'm totally not, like, I like get out here. Now I can be, but I'm not like a get out here and let's do this kind of thing. But I'm such a follower. Call me sheep. Bah. But yeah, I am such a follower, and I was enabled to like pick up my sock yarn blanket, and then I was enabled by Chelsea of Legacy Knits to cast on a featherweight. I was knitting for the record, I was knitting a fingering weight, or had like put a fingering weight into, this is not going to show up very well on the podcast, on the screen, but whatever. I was knitting, I'm really scattered, y'all, because I'm so pregnant, but so excuse that. I was knitting a Grace cardigan, which is the second Grace cardigan. And the first one gave me a hard time. There was it's by Jane Richmond, and you've probably seen it. If not, go look. It's a part of her Inland collection with Shannon Cook. And I love the two of them. I love, they're great designers. Had lace panels like to right here, and then the rest of it was stockinette body. It's fingering weight sweater, had a lace panel around the back. And I had this, excuse me, that's part of being pregnant. Let me drink some water. And I picked the loudest bottle in the cabinet. So sorry. I knit the first one out of like Knit Pick Stroll Tonal, and wanted another one. Had this gorgeous Luna Gray Fiber Arts. She's an Etsy. Well, she was on Etsy, but I think she has her own site now. But she had like a merino cashmere nylon blend that I bought from her. It's really pretty blue, and I thought it would make a great Grace cardigan. And I don't know what the problem is. Like, Jane Richmond has since added charts, which made it so much easier. But my stitch counts were off. Like, one side had more stitches, one panel had more stitches than the other, and there was no way to fix it, and I was not ripping it back. And I mean, it's just like this really easy lace pattern, and I could not get it. I think I ripped that thing out 3 or 4 times and restarted it. I'm not even kidding. So the 5th time, when I realized that I had knit all the way to like where you split for the sleeves and you're getting ready to start the stockinette, I had realized that my stitch counts were off, and I was like, what the frick? So I was like, that's it. I'm not even knitting this. So that has since been ripped back, and it's going to be a flax light. I think it's going to make a really pretty short sleeve flax light by Tin Can Knits. And so I was like, I love fingering weight. I love cardigans and fingering weight. So I had this Marigold Gin. Let me find the tag. That's right here from where I podcasted the first time. I have this Marigold Gin and Amy's Punky Plum. There's Marigold Gin's card. This is an old card. I'm sure she probably does something different. I bought this so long ago. It was a colorway exclusive for Stockinette Zombies video podcast. And she had dyed a colorway for Amy and a colorway for Megan. And I bought Amy's colorway. And it's Punky Plum. And it's BFL nylon 464 yards and superwash. And it is this really pretty gray kind of like really pretty gray, and you can see pops of purple. Isn't it gorgeous? Look at that look at that purple right there. It's beautiful, right? Let me see if I can do it this way. That took some practice, y'all. Okay. See that right there, that purple at the top? So pretty. So I cast on a featherweight last night. I did. And it's stockinette, so it rolls like crazy, and you're not going to be able to see, well, you might. Ooh, see that pop of purple right here? That's awesome. And I think the BFL is going to be perfect for Wisconsin, for the weather here, because it's still chilly. I mean, it's 61 today, but it's chilly out because we live very close to Lake Michigan, and so when you're in Milwaukee, there are like rings of different towns around Milwaukee, like suburbs of Milwaukee. So you have like downtown Milwaukee, and then you have like suburb. We kind of live in a city that's like right outside of Milwaukee, but we're like 2 seconds from Milwaukee, if that makes sense. But we live like 10 minutes from the water. And here, and I learned this the other day, and I didn't realize this. If you live like west of the lake, you could be 15 to 20 degrees warmer than I am right here. That's crazy. So there is kind of this like, the weather here is just crazy like that. Like in North Carolina, it's just hot, right? It's so hot, it's so humid. But here, like one day last week, it was like 50 here, 55 here, and it was almost 70 20 minutes from us. So like on the west side of Milwaukee. So yeah, like it's really crazy. So I thought that something like this BFL would be perfect for Wisconsin. I thought it would be perfect for when it gets chilly at night. And I'm loving it. I did go down a needle size because I'm in a looser knitter, and I'm not sure about the gauge. But when I sit it in my lap and like put it down, it's really pretty. But when I'm like holding it up, I'm like, I don't know about that. And I think I think there needs to be like, it's supposed to be an airy sweater anyway, because it's originally knit in lace weight, and she's changed it so it's lace and fingering. But I think the BFL, because it's so warm, the airiness will help. Like, does that make sense? So I'm just going to keep knitting it. I thought about changing, like going down again another needle size to size 4. And I would just do it. I wouldn't like row back or anything, but I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm definitely going to do the button band. It's not a button band, but the ribbing probably in a smaller needle. But we'll see. I'm knitting them on size 5, which is a little cheat on my needle. Where should it go? 3.75 Hiya. I'm not crazy about these for this sweater. I mean, I like them because they're metal. I love metal needles. They're not too sharp. And so the make ones are giving me a hard time. And I'm actually gonna ask for needles for like my anniversary or for Christmas. And I'm leaning towards Addie clicks, because Addie's I can get lace tips too. So like I do a lot of fingering weight sweaters, and I'll do a lot of shawl knitting. So if I do like the Addie click, then I can buy tips for like the shawl, like 4 to 7, you know? So we'll see. But if you have any input about your needles, I'm thinking, somebody told me to try Hiya Sharps, and I just haven't. Sue was talking about this. They don't really carry them in the store, so you have to order them online. And I'm really trying to buy from my local yarn store because I didn't have one in Winston. in North Carolina. And so now that I have a local yarn store that I go to, I want to be able to give them business. I mean, I don't mind going online and buying, but they're like my go-to, like that's like my go-to. So if you have any opinion about high sharps or Addies or whatever, just let me know. I do like the size range of Addies, so that's a plus. And this little sweater and the yarn is Heidi is living in my bird leg bags bag. Well, I've showed this to you before. It's the Wellies, which I love. So that's all my whips. So planning. This might be a little bit of a longer talk for a second. I talked about last time how I was going to be knitting the olive basket. And I was going to be using Miss Babs yarn, her Heartland worsted. And the olive basket knits up is a DK. But this yarn, like Miss Babs, like Yowza, can be knit at a DK weight. It's kind of a light worsted. Y'all, I swatched and swatched and swatched and could not get gauge. And after reading a lot, because when I'm looking at a pattern and I'm trying to figure out if there are any like quirks to the pattern, I always look through project pages. And let me tell you, these pages that are marked most helpful, like, are most helpful. And I was noticing that people were saying that they were knitting a size. You're supposed to knit it 0 to 3 inches positive ease. There's not a whole lot of sizes. Like, there's a 39.5 and it skips to a 44. So there's not like a whole lot of sizing, like size options. And so I was going back and forth about, like, I think I was going to knit the 44. And then I decided after I swatched, like when I actually pulled out my needles to swatch, I was going to knit a 39.5 inch bust. A 39.5 inch bust. There you go. And then I was reading, well, I knit the 39.5 inch bust, but I should have knit the 36 because everybody's projects were coming out bigger. And I mean, there was bunching in the shoulders, the sleeves were long. Like, obviously that's stuff that you can modify. The pattern is bottom up. So if you know anything about any kind of like what modification, like it's really easy to do. It's stockinette. It was just a mess. And I didn't trust my pregnant brain to make a decision, to make the right decision and it work. I was already close as far as yarn was concerned because I'm substituting yarn. And so I had swatched on a 6 and a 5 and still could not get gauge. The stitch gauge was 5.5 stitches to the inch. I got gauge on the 5s and with the worsted weight yarn. And because it's merino, it's super springy and it puffs up when it's beautiful when it's blocked. And it took away my 1/2 inch. It took away my 1/2 stitch. So I was like, I don't trust it. Like, somebody had said that they knit it at 5 stitches to the inch, but they knit the smaller size. So help me with this. And I think I know why she did it, but she was getting 5 stitches to the inch instead of 5.5 stitches to the inch. So if you're getting 5 stitches to the inch, then that means that your sweater is going to be smaller than it should be, right? Am I right? But because this sweater was coming out bigger than what it was supposed to be, I think that's why she knit a smaller size. Okay? But I wasn't sure that that was the case. And I am 10 months pregnant. And I can't even decide what I want to eat at night. So there was no way I could make a decision about this gauge issue. So you know what I did? I said, you know what? I'm just going to buy a DK weight. It's time. Like, I'm seeing holes in my stash. So I'm going to make it. I'm going to earmark that I want to knit this. I think it would be really pretty in Copper Corgie's Jones Street, but I don't know that she has a DK. I think she just has a sport and a worsted. But I would love a really pretty. I was looking at Malabrigo. Malabrigo? No, I was looking at Tosh DK this morning, and I was like, this sweater would be gorgeous in Tosh DK. So, which is an investment. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a DK weight yarn. It's knit in Malabrigo Silky Merino. So I'm just going to knit, or Malintosh Silky Merino. Well, either one of them. You know what I'm saying. And I'm just going to buy a DK, and I'm going to use this yarn for something that I know will work. So I was on Instagram this morning, which has kind of been when I'm trying to get up in the morning, I've been so tired, y'all. I'm not sleeping at night, and it's like crazy. And saw this sweater, and I'm going to put a picture in right here of Old Growth is the name of the sweater, and it's a tin can knit sweater. It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous that I immediately got up this morning and swatched for this sweater. That's how pretty it is. It's from the road trip book that Tin Can Knits put out. It's Old Growth. It calls for a worsted weight. It's knit in Plucky Knitter Primo Worsted, and it's got 18 sizes. So it's got 7 kid sizes, 11 adult sizes, and it's just really simple. It's beautiful. It has like this. It's kind of asymmetrical, so the buttons come like over here, and it's got this gorgeous like leaf pattern, like lace leaf pattern right here. Really simple, gorgeous. I think that it would look beautiful in this yarn. So I actually swatched. I got gauge on 7s. Actually, I got gauge on 8s, but it calls for it to be 4.5 stitches to the inch, the gauge. And so because I know that this yarn puffs up, I went ahead and swatched on a 7 and got 5 stitches to the inch unblocked. So I think that once it dries, it's going to give me that half inch, that half a stitch that I need. So I'm pretty confident with this sweater. It's bottom up, just like the Olive Basket. So it's going to be a really good time for me to like practice on modifying and all that stuff. So I'm really excited about it. I have plenty of yarn, I have more than enough. So I'm gonna be working on that, and I'm really excited about it. Yeah. So I've linked it in show notes. I did also link a Tin Can Knits blog post on gauge, and she does a really good job of explaining gauge, especially if you're a newer knitter and you don't really understand gauge that well. And I'm not a newer knitter, but I have not. You're always learning, and I didn't start out as a kermit knitter, so I recently got into it, and I've had several sweaters that have not been perfect. So I'm like being very careful about jumping in to projects, and I'm trying to do my best about planning, and I think I'm doing a really good job. But I just linked this blog post on gauge because she explains it so clearly, and she even talks about in the blog post how many stitches to cast on for a swatch, and how do you know how many stitches to cast on. I used to guess, but she has like a little bit of a formula that tells you, okay, I need to cast on this many stitches. So I just linked it, and I think it's a great resource, and I would encourage you to go read it. I think that with so many designers really focusing on modifying sweaters for your body type, I think designers like Tin Can Knits can get looked over. So I would encourage you to subscribe to their blog, to check them out. I love their patterns. The pattern that I bought was a pay-for pattern. It's $7, but like I said, it gives you 18 sizes. And I blew my printer up, so all of my patterns that I'm looking at are on my iPad or on my iPhone. And so digital, and if you have a question like about Gage, then there's a question mark next to Gage and you click on it and it takes you to all of these blog posts that talk about Gage. So if you have if you're doing a certain stitch or a certain increase and there's a link there, you click on that link and it takes you to their YouTube channel where they did the link, where they did the they taught the stitch. So I just really encourage you to check them out. And their free patterns are great. Their pay for patterns are great too. So yeah. All right. Mailbox love. My friend Faith, they're in Solo, and I did the Color Affection Cow together. Faith and I decided that we were going to do a little swap. She is Faith Theron Solo, who is on Instagram and Ravelry and Twitter, but she also writes on a blog, Faithfully Geeky, and I have linked that in the show notes for you to check out. I've talked about her before, but just check her out. So she sent me, we swapped, and I haven't sent her a package yet. I have her minis ready to go, but I haven't sent her a package yet. So she sent me a package. And it came in this bag. Bigger than my head. And I have to tell you, I was really shocked. I was really shocked because Faith is sneaky. She's so sneaky. And so I'm just going to share with you what she put in the package because she did such a great little package. And you know what? Some podcasters get packages a lot. I don't. So I'm going to show you. I even asked Faith, like, can I please show this off on the podcast? Because I was so excited and it made my day. So first of all, she sent me the minis that went with her for her shawl. So I'm going to put these in my bag, and I'm actually going to probably cast a couple. I'm probably going to do them tonight, to be honest with you. This one is Hedgehog Fibers, Hedgehog Fibers and Opalite. And you can kind of see the different shades. It's a very light tonal yarn. She did sent me Life in the Long Grass in the Coastal colorway. And like I said, these were all the colors that she used in her Color Affection. And I'll try to find a picture of her Color Affection and insert it here so that you can see. She also sent me the Copper Corgi and Skyline. So these are going in my minis, in my sock yarn blanket. So I'm going to put them down there so I can put them in my bag. Y'all, I got this package like 2 weeks ago, probably longer than that, and I have been dying to show it to you. So I've been like wanting to use things out of this package and haven't because I wanted to show them to you. She also sent me some goat milk soap that I'm so excited that I can now actually use in honeysuckle. You could smell this in the bag. Like when my husband brought the bag in and sat it in front of me, I was like, what's that smell? It smells so good. So good. So my husband was like really excited about it. And he is such a man's man that I was last year he bought coffee soap. Ugh. I love coffee, but that soap stunk. And I was like, no way. Yeah, that's not going to fly at our house. It was so gross. Anyway, but this stuff smells good. And I think there's not a website or anything, but it's from Serenity Meadows Farm in Wake Forest, North Carolina. And it says at the corner of hippie and hillbilly. It's so cute. You can't really see it. So I'm going to be opening that now that I've showed it to you. Now, she also sent me I've already like done this the one time, so I'm trying to make it, they're scattered everywhere, so I'm trying to make sure I get everything. She sent me a little notebook, which who doesn't like a good notebook? Come on now. And she sent me, okay, so all of that came in the package, right? But that's not it. I was like so excited. It was all individually wrapped. It was so sweet. Then I get to something that's so awesome and so crazy. And I actually saw these on her blog and was like, oh, those are so cute. And then they ended up they were in my bag. I was like, a little sneaker. She was making those this whole time and I didn't have a clue. Anyway, she's so sweet. She sent me 2 whale bibs. I mean, what are these called? Burp cloths. 2 little whale burp cloths. And they have like this really nice green, like terry cloth almost on the back. Do we tell you a little tip? This is not about this, but it's about burp cloths. Do you know what makes the best burp cloths? Because the burp cloths you get in the store aren't worth crap. Cloth diapers make the best burp cloths. And you can buy a set of like 10 at Target for like $12 or $15, and they are wonderful. So mark my words, if you have friends that are having babies, if you are having a baby, get you a pack of cloth diapers for burp cloths because they are so absorbent. It's great. And Xander was a spitter, so I'm completely expecting this one to be kind of the same way. But cloth diaper burp cloths, I'm telling you. You can probably get them on Amazon for super cheap. But then there's another one. So I have 2 of those. One of these is going into the hospital bag. Like, this is stuff that I wanted to pack in the hospital bag and couldn't because I needed to show it to you. I just love y'all so much. She also, I don't know when she did this. Faith, I don't know when you did this. So, thank you. Because you snuck one by me. I had no idea. She made him a little hat with this cute little color work motif, X's and O's, to match this little romper. Oh my goodness. Xander was a small baby, and like he's like 7'7" when he was born, so he wore like, you know, like newborn like sleepers and stuff. And she was like, I hope he gets to wear it. He's totally going to get to wear it. And Wisconsin weather this is perfect for the weather here. Because yeah, it's awesome. But yeah. So Faith, I don't think you told me what pattern it was. So if you have the pattern information, can you let me know so that I can tell everybody? Or you can put it in the episodes thread or whatever. But so cute, this little romper. So cute. So this is going in the hospital bag too. You know how you always take too much to the hospital? I have a feeling that's going to be the case. Maybe I won't take the romper, but I definitely will pack the hat. She also sent me the rest of the yarn in case I wanted to make something for him. And she told me what yarn this was, and it's in a text message. So I'll make sure to tell you that as well. But yeah, that was so thoughtful, so sweet. I don't know what it'll be, but I'm thinking booties. It would make some cute booties. Yeah, I'll have to think about it. So she sent me that. Now, she sent me a really sweet card. I'm not going to read it to you, but I'll put it back together so that you can see it with this little bird on it. I thought that was it, but she sent something for Mama too. Twist Fiber Studio, which she was actually just getting into dyeing. Well, she has a really cool story. If you haven't read her story or heard her story, you should go over. Maybe it's in her shop or something, or even yeah. But basically, she was in business school, and when we met her. Faith and I met her at the first Into the Wool retreat that we went to, and that was the first time that Faith and I had ever met. And we rode together to the Into the Wool retreat. And Twist Fiber Studio, I cannot remember her name. It's going to drive me crazy, but she was there and she was like showing people yarn that she had been working on to dye, because she was in this really awesome program where she was receiving a grant to start a business, basically, and graduated from business school. And it's really sweet. It's really awesome. And so this is her bag, Twist Fiber Studio. It's like a little soccer shawl bag. I love it. It's so cute. I love the roses. But then she also, Faith, sent me this too, that coordinates with the bag. And I'm just trying to see. There is Twist Fiber Studios card. And it's Zelma, which is a limited edition colorway, and it's Polworth, which is one of my favorite fibers. And it matches the bag perfect. So now I can actually use this bag. But, gosh, it was such a surprise, and it was so sweet and so thoughtful, and it was so sweet. And I haven't been able, my wheel's right there, and there's bobbins. I haven't been able to spin much because of my belly. But once the baby comes, I'm going to be cleaning off those bobbins and putting this on the wheel, because I love Polworth. And I love that colorway. So, gosh, Faye, thank you so much. Like, thank you. It's so sweet. You know you love that crinkle sound. It was so sweet, and I was so surprised. And your package will be coming to you shortly. I have some details that I need to put in the package, and I don't know how you knit pregnant. I can't. Like I said, I have a really hard time deciding things right now. And I have like 2 things cast on for Faith for the baby, and can't even figure out like if that's good, like if that's okay, like if I like the idea. Do I want to knit this? Do I want to knit this? So I found something. I have something cast on that I didn't show you, obviously, because Faith watches. But I did also find a pattern that I thought would be perfect. And her weather is different. So it's hot now. So I was trying to think of things that I'm trying to think of ahead. I know Faith has done that, and she's knit like some things that the baby will wear in the fall. So that's kind of along the lines that I'm thinking. But anyway, thank you so much. So sweet. So sweet. So just really quickly before I go, I just wanted to talk kind of about the podcasting schedule. As of right now, I'm only podcasting monthly, and it's working. The editing and like prepping, because it's usually an hour and 15 minutes, is harder because it's a longer podcast. So after the baby comes and things are settled, I'm thinking about trying to do like smaller episodes that are closer together. Don't hold me to that, but we'll see what happens. But during my maternity leave, I'm not exactly sure what the podcast is going to look like. My husband is really interested in podcasting. He blogs and writes. He does freelance work, but he's not a freelance writer that he would love to be, but he's not doing that yet. So, but he is juggling the idea of starting his own podcast about faith and fitness. He's not a knitter. So we've been talking, kind of researching together, like some options for podcasts. I think he'd probably be audio, but we've been looking at some things that I can do with my podcast too. So we're kind of working through that. But I think like some recording, like some things that I use for recording, like gadgets and things like that, we're going to start to try out. And I thought that it might be really good to try those things out on mini-sodes. The baby's coming any day, Tuesday, and it's going to be adjustment with 2 kids. And I know that. And we're also going to have a house full of family. We have a very small apartment in Milwaukee, but my parents are coming from North Carolina Memorial Day weekend, and they'll be here for like 5 days. And then the day after they leave, my husband's mom comes in, and she's going to be here for almost 2 weeks. She lives out of the country, so whenever she comes to visit, she comes in for a longer stay. So we're going to have people in our house for like 3 weeks on top of like adjusting to having the baby. And my husband's going to be going back to work, and he's going to be home for a week, and then he'll go back to work. And so, yeah. So I don't want to like say that I'm definitely going to be podcasting, but if I do, they'll probably be like mini-sodes, like really quick. Like, this is what I'm knitting. This is what I'm doing. This is the baby. This is Xander, being a big brother, and talk to you later, I even thought about like Periscope, but I don't know, like some podcasters do Periscope and they do really good at it. I don't know if there's enough. I mean, I know I can record the Periscope and then load it to YouTube, but I feel like that would be really difficult. Like that's more work than what I want to do. So it might just be like quick. If I do, it'll be quick updates. So we'll see what happens. If you're not following me on Instagram, please friend me on Instagram. Check me out, Mama Holmes NC. And that's a really good way to keep up with what's going on and when the baby comes and all that stuff. You can also send me a PM on Ravelry. You can earburn me. Please earburn me if you comment in the group. That way I see it, because I don't always see it. So if you earburn me in the Ravelry thread, then it will send me an email. So, yeah. But, yeah, I think it's going to be an adjustment. We're really excited. It's also, the weather is starting to get really nice here. And so with family coming in, like we have some activities that we're going to do that are planned. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So life is going to be a little bit crazy for us, but we're really excited about it. And I think after the first 2 weeks or so, or even after family leaves, like I just need to get into a groove, and then I'll be okay. So I'll talk to you soon, and keep an eye open on Instagram, and we'll share when our little bundle of joy arrives. And yeah, just if you want to send prayers or well wishes or anything our way, please do. And just keep me in your thoughts. I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.